Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope everything is great. Everything here is good. It is New Year's Eve. It is the end of a decade. The Roaring 20s start tomorrow. Are we gonna make them the Roaring 20s? Like, what made the Roaring 20s the Roaring 20s? Was it like dance and stuff, and like, was that like the end of? Is like the 20s kind of the end of the Wild West period? Like, I don't know what makes the 20s so roaring, but whatever. That's tomorrow, and I'm not excited. Like, it's just another decade or whatever, another year. But I am excited to see how life changes in the next year. And it's always fun to look back and say, I did all of this year. And for me, this year, I think my big accomplishment is the desk that I built for M. That was a pretty big deal for me, mentally, emotionally, physically. It really made me feel a lot better about my abilities and my skills. I look back at some of the progress that I've made at work and on some of the programs that we've done. It was a good year overall. I hope 2020 is better. I hope that I have more purpose at my job. I hope that I have... Whoa, it's windy outside. I hope that I have more purpose in my personal life. I hope that I have more confidence and meaning and in my being. And I hope that I'm less lost. Not that I'm lost, not that I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm find myself often like, okay, what do I do now, right? But we'll see. Not what I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. My kid has a cat. My nephew's allergic. She asked me if I could watch it because they're having a New Year's party at their house, and I said sure, but I'm also allergic, just mildly allergic. I asked a question on Twitter the other day, not the other day, like a week ago. Why do people say the other day when like, to me that means like 2 or 3 days ago, not like weeks ago. Anyway, I said I'm looking for some like Pulp Fantasy, so I thought I'd ask here. I got some decent responses from people. Jack Vance with anything Cudge the Clever. Never really read any Jack Vance. David Eddings. Never read any David Eddings. Cradle series, Kill the Farm Boy, Villains by Necessity. I'm looking for just kind of some generic fantasy. My friend who I play board games with, and we've been playing a lot of Keyforge, if you watch my Twitter, he suggested Lawrence Watt Evans, so I picked up a couple of Lawrence Watt Evans books and a lot off of eBay. I'm looking for... I used to read a decent amount of pulp, like old school 1920s and 30s pulp magazine type stories, like detective stories and Wild West type stuff. And that kind of writing is fun because it doesn't ask a whole lot of the reader. It's a basic hero story, repressed hero finds special ability, goes on adventure, gets whatever. The treasure, the girl, the thing, finds the cup, whatever it might be. That story, just replace those bits, like key in your character names, key in your items, and you could just write those stories over and over and over again in the same story. But it's escapism for me to just jump into something for a little bit and then leave it, right? And I look at series that I love, like The Wheel of Time. I really love the Wheel of Time series, but I've never made it to the end. I don't know that I ever will. I've made it to like book 7, and then I just kind of lose interest, and then I move back and I start over again. Things like... well, I guess that's my best example. That particular series, I just keep restarting because I can't get through it all. But there's some fun in just learning a new story or a new setting. And sometimes people like this guy, this Lawrence Watt Evans, I've never read any of his books. From what I understand, his books are set in kind of his own fantasy world that he created for role-playing games back in the 70s. And so it's just kind of its own thing. And all of his books are basically generic hero stories, novels. I don't want to say romance novels because that's almost an insult, but that kind of a thing where you just jump in, there's a character, the character's going to go on an adventure, the character goes on the adventure ends, that's the book, and we just move on with our lives. I enjoy that sort of stuff, so I'm looking for more of that. If you have other suggestions for that kind of pulpy, quick read, easy reads, stuff that just is escapism for a little bit, like, books that don't take a month to read because the language is difficult or the setting is difficult or there's 15 storylines that you have to follow. A simple point of view character with a simple storyline. I'm looking for more of that for some inspiration. So if you have suggestions, let me know, please, and I will look into them. I like to buy books and read books, and especially this time of year. This is my read books time of year. When I can't ride the motorcycle or work on the house or stuff like that, I like to, burn through some books. So let me know. I hope that you have a good rest of this year. If you're watching this during 2019, I hope that you can finish out the year strong. I'm going to finish out the year strong on my couch with Em here and the dog and the cat. And then tomorrow we'll see what happens. So we'll see you next century. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing people and wonderful friends. I appreciate you. And I will see you tomorrow. Alexa, tell me a random fact.
Here's a fact about cheetahs. Comic book superhero Wonder Woman's chief adversary is Dr. Barbara Ann Minerva, alias the Cheetah.
How is that about cheetahs? That's about Wonder Woman.